2019 for me was just managing people. It wasn't even really like growing the company and like focusing on creatives and all that stuff. It was just like so many fucking problems would occur that had to do with the team. Hey everyone, John Ray is here. I wanted to take some time to just talk about kind of like the journey that I've gone through. It's approaching our 2-year anniversary on March 26th, and I just kind of wanted to sit down and, let you guys know how what it was like to go through this really explosive growth period and kind of experience all these challenges as an entrepreneur and as a man. And yeah, it's just, it's kind of scary how fast time has gone by. And to look back and to think it was only 2 years, the amount of effort and energy and time expended, it feels like 5 years of work. And, when you have a goal, when you have deadlines, when you have priorities in your life that you need to meet, if you have debt, there's nothing that can really stop you from trying to achieve those goals because, as a man, my only priority is try to survive and prioritize my family and, be a provider. And when I first got into the e-com space, or at least, before starting this company, I had another company before this, and I was an entrepreneur from like 2012. I started my own company with two of my best friends from college, and we got into SEO, and we started our own business naming service, which is really funny because people actually were Googling, how can I name my business? Where do I find a place that will name my business for me? So we created that service, and we designed their logos for them and basically created something very similar to this. And that's kind of where I learned how to do like the service industry. And then we got into selling supplements online, which actually took off back in like 2013. We got into Amazon. We were selling a crap ton on Amazon. We were doing heavy AdWords, building landing pages, all keyword based. Like we didn't touch social. We didn't touch social at all. And when in 2016, I had spent, I don't know, four to 5 years growing that side of the business with my partners. But for the most part, I was just kind of like a designer. I was just kind of like a conversion rate guy. I wasn't really running the company and the direction. And now I look back, I was more so just like an employee in the business. But I thought, this is my company. This is, I've created all of this, but, I was just a cog in the wheel, to be honest. And it got to a point, 2016, when we were, as a company, doing really well. And, that's when things started to come in financially. There was a lot of abundance, and I had been waiting for this moment to come finally. And so I kind of packed all my things and moved out and got a new place and got one of the most like premium spots here in Orange County. And it was okay for a while, right? I had been sober. I wasn't drinking anything, and I had this clarity. I had this vision and all this good stuff. And then, 3-4 months into living there alone, you kind of get bored, and then you kind of get lonely. And I was single at the time, so I was like, all right, let's try this whole drinking thing and see where that goes. And one night led to another, and then another, and then another. Next thing you know, spiraling into this completely hedonistic lifestyle of destruction and just pure adrenaline and dopamine. And it got really bad to a point where my main priority was to self-fulfill my own wants and needs, and those wants and needs happen to be drugs, alcohol, sex, girls, like pretty much everything opposite of my business and opposite of my values. And it got the best of me. The universe saw what direction I was taking and just decided, hey, look, we're going to pull the rug from under you, and we're going to shift how you run your life. And that's exactly what happened. I came back from a trip down to Las Vegas, and I come back to my partners telling me that they wanted me out of the business. And at first I was completely shocked. I was like, wait, what? How could this be? And, they were kind of vague about it, but they said, take some time to think about it, to kind of figure out where you want to go next, because we have to figure out, this transition. And to me, I was like, okay, it seems temporary. I'll work my way back and get back on my feet, right? But that wasn't the case. They had already they knew that it wasn't going to be another chance. And so when I was confronted with the reality of the situation, and my ex-partners sat me down and they told me, hey, you got to sign this paper that says, we are basically cutting off, we're buying you out, and here's how much you're going to be paid, X, Y, and Z. And that's pretty much it. And once that reality set, I was completely destroyed. It took everything from me in terms of where I thought I was going. And you're at a point in your life when you feel like you have everything figured out, and you think that everything's permanent, and you think that what you have is like, I'm good, I'm set, I have the money, I have the business, I have the house, I have, all these things. And the moment that's gone, and it could be taken away from you in an instant, my life completely changed from that point. And fortunately, I had met my current wife, Joanna, who I met at a bar, and we just kind of randomly met. I was like, look, I had no intentions of like ever dating her or marrying her, but there was something about her that was different about any other girl I've dated or been in a relationship with. But she was the start of my complete 180 in terms of my development and my growth. And she was there at the tail end of me losing my business. And she was always a support, and was like, hey, I don't care if you have money or don't have money, or if you don't have this place or have a nice place. I'm in it for you. I'm in it for us. And that to me was an indicator that, oh my gosh, this girl is serious about me and about our future together. And once, I'm telling you, once everything was taken away from me, I realized how vulnerable, how little I knew, how little experience I had, how little skills I really had, because I was so reliant on my partners to kind of do a lot of the heavy lifting and doing a lot of the leadership and the skill acquisition. And I was just kind of like riding their coattails, like, hey, dude, keep it up. You know what I mean? I love this. I love this ride. It is fun. It is easy. And so it was a very sobering moment for me. And on top of that, I came this close to, I'm pretty sure, getting a heart attack because of what I had been doing. My body was, getting worn down, week after week with stimulants and the partying and all that stuff. And there was a moment when I sat there and I looked at Jojo and I was like, I think my heart is going to stop. And I felt it. It was like cramping up, and we went to the emergency room and all this stuff. And turns out I was just having a massive anxiety panic attack. And at that moment forward, I was like, okay, I'm quitting nicotine. I'm quitting all the stimulants. I'm quitting the partying. And so that was a really big choice for me. And I'll talk about that later, but I've always kind of struggled with that addiction. It's always come to like haunt me later on in my life. But 2016 was really the year that my life changed and led me to this point today where I'm at now. Because if it wasn't for that, pivotal moment in my life where I had to make a serious change, like I would either be dead, I would be bankrupt, or I would be in prison. That's what I tell everybody. And I really thank JoJo, my wife, for kind of being that rock that I needed in my life, and I still need today, and helped me really get through a lot of those difficult times. And so after that moment when I kind of like lost everything, I had to move out. We moved out into a smaller apartment, and I tried to kind of rebuild what I had lost and failed at that. So, building another supplement company, just so many things were going against me. It was like climbing uphill all the time. And then I realized, oh snap, like money's getting low. Like all my buyout money is about to disappear, and my taxes are catching up to me, and I don't have enough savings to pay off my taxes. So I ended up just like selling everything and downgrading into this really small 1-bedroom apartment with JoJo and my dog, and all we had was pretty much what was essential. And this was around 2017. 2007, yeah, at the end of 2017, and this is when I realized, okay, what other opportunity is out there? Because I'm not going to pursue the supplement game anymore. And so that's really where I started to get into these Facebook groups, and I would hear from other people about drop shipping and this new business model that I've never heard of. And, it was just kind of this puzzle that I didn't really understand, because the way that I had done business before was completely different than how this business model was run. But I was like, why does it seem so much easier than what I'm already doing? So I spent a lot of time learning Facebook, getting in all the groups, just diving so deep into that world, and kind of following every single expert out there, and just really trying to develop these deeper skills of marketing. And so that's what I did. That's what I did for a while. And then, I was pretty hopeless for a while, and for a few months, the savings were just going down, 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 down. And I'm just like, I got to make something work. And so eventually I did find something that worked, and it was such a huge blessing, because once I was able to find a product that I could actually scale, I was able to pay off like $40,000 worth of tax debt that I had the previous year. And that was a huge burden removed from me. But there was this point where I was still really naive and immature when it came to business and understanding how that model worked. And I realized hey, nothing that good lasts forever. And of course we had supply issues, we had copyright infringement, we had trademark infringement, we had all this stuff going wrong. And next thing you know, that part of the business was completely wiped away. And next thing you know, I'm literally chasing after that next golden winner to help support me. And being in that state of fear, I was just constantly trying to test. I was like, we got to make something work. And next thing you know, we're 40K in the hole. And I'm looking at my partner. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. There were ads that weren't being looked at, and they were just draining money. And the automation that we had going on wasn't working correctly. So completely had missed this. It was just a big mess, and I look at my partner. I'm like, dude, we got to go get jobs now. I remember waking up one day and seeing $2,500 being taken away out of my bank account. And that was all the money that I had. And I wake up and I'm freaking out. And I'm like, JoJo, I got to go get a job now. This is awful. And I kind of made that promise to myself that I would never go back to getting a real job because I had lived my whole life being an entrepreneur. Right when I got out of college, I never got a real job. I got an internship and I worked at a couple of restaurants, but I never really did the 9 to 5. I wasn't really built for that. And so when that time came, it was a scary, scary moment. And so at that point was really like, okay, this business model is not working for me. It's not sustainable. It is a freaking nightmare coming up, managing your ads every single day, trying to create a new product, a new page every single time. It's this churn and burn, exhausting model. And at the end of the day, your customers hate you. It is just like, I question myself, like, is this really what I want to do for the rest of my life? Do I want to keep doing this? Am I like, is this the answer to being successful? And I'm like, this is not what I imagined, because in my previous business, because it was Amazon, because it was supplements, like and because we had a big brand, there was not much besides customer service and fulfillment that we had to worry about. So it was freedom. But dropshipping is not freedom. Dropshipping is a lot of work, and it's a lot of stress, and it's a lot of customer management, and just repeating the same thing over and over again. Anyways, we're in this hole, right? We're in $40,000 in debt, and I'm thinking to myself, how are we going to get out of this? How am I going to get out of this? And so I looked at my partner at the time, and I was like, look, people aren't making videos for these dropshipping videos. Why don't we just do it, right? Why don't we just solve this problem for the community and make our money back and, call it a day, we can move on. And so that's exactly what we did. Didn't have any experience in production. Obviously I know how to shoot things. I know how to edit stuff because I would do it for my own videos before. But in terms of like running a whole production company, hell no. That's when I hit up my existing partner, Josh, who had his own warehouse and had some experience doing production. And his previous business was in live productions, like staged ones. So I was like, this is the perfect partner to have. But even he didn't know how all this stuff really ran. So, in the first few months, we were just running and gunning. We didn't have systems for things. We were just kind of like, we were making money. I mean, we were charging $100 for a video, and it's like, yeah, no crap. Like, that is literally free. You're giving out free videos. And we were doing all the work. And I was like, hey, at least it's paying off our debt. So we were actually able to pay off our debt within like 3 to 4 months. I wasn't paying myself. Me and my partner weren't paying ourselves. We were just paying off the debt, paying off our expenses, and then also paying our partner. And so, yeah, I was able to pay off that debt from that we accumulated from drop shipping with EcomVids. And it was like a sigh of relief. And then JoJo was like, hey, look, this is actually working. And at the time, she wasn't working with us yet. She was working in daycare. She was always been working with children. But I was like, look, we need someone like you on the team to help with operations, to help with leadership and management. So in August 2018, she quit her job and she came onto the team. And since then, like, oh man, 2 years has gone by. 2 years has gone by, and it's just been insane. And I can't say like it's been the greatest thing ever or the worst thing ever. But I can say there has been so much packed into that many days where it can change everything about what you know about life in such a short amount of time. There's people who go 2 years without experiencing much in their life, and it's very, automatic. It's very, go through the motions. But when building this thing, you just didn't know. We didn't know. I didn't know, the next 2-3 months, how that was going to turn out. And then, going into this completely like not having any experience, not having the leadership, not having the systems and process experience, not having the management, all I had was like, okay, I know how to run I know how to run ads, I know how to design, and I know how to be creative, right? And so along the way, I had to learn all these different skills that I did not want to face and I didn't want to do because it was hard and it was scary, it was unknown. But in those times when you're tested, you realize, dude, I got to fucking step it up. I have to figure out a solution and I have to provide, the answers, and I have to provide for my family financially. And so this is really hard because my old self wanted to stay, was a huge part of me, my addictions, the person who was always kind of looking for other people to solve the problems for him, and not wanting to be the person that's accountable for everything, being a leader. It was very, very scary. But going through this has definitely shaped me as a man today, and it's still shaping me. But along the way, I cannot ask for anything more difficult or challenging. Like if you're in your own business today and you think it's hard, dude, just wait until you have 50 employees and you're managing 2 warehouses and you're doing like 300 videos a month and you have all these moving parts that you don't have perfect systems for, and then find out that your payroll next month you may not have enough money for that. So it's like those problems become actually more and more like just normal problems. You start to normalize those things. Whereas when you're just getting started, you're like, okay, man, like how am I going to get my Facebook ads up? How am I going to get my website up? How am I going to get these like really basic things done? And then that's your world, right? And that's like the challenge at that time. But as you scale and you start to hire people and you start to build a team, it completely, you have to evolve as a human being, as a leader, as a mentor. And you have to start thinking way bigger than, these platforms or, these products. And we went through so many ups and downs in the company. I mean, at one point we had so many people in the team, and it was like, it felt fun. It felt so good being like, oh my gosh, look at all these people coming into the office. I'm responsible for these people. I'm paying their paychecks. And everyone's having a good time. We go on company trips sometimes, and it's just one big family. But when the reality sets in and you realize, are all these people delivering value? Are these people paying for themselves, so to speak? And on top of that, do these people's egos like need to be confronted and tamed? Do we need to there are so many human problems that you will experience having a big team. And that was, for the most part, 2019 for me was just managing people. It wasn't even really growing the company and focusing on creatives and all that stuff. It was just so many fucking problems would occur that had to do with the team. We have offshore teams. Our team in Serbia, our editing team in Serbia, just decided to say, fuck off, I'm done. We're done working for you. And I don't know how many projects we had with them that weren't done. And so transitioning into our team in the Philippines, hey, you guys got to handle all the work now, was a huge transition. And then, laying off about half the company was a huge undertaking too, because our systems were developed for basically mass production. So everything was step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Once everybody kind of realized, hey, this is, we're a much smaller team now, how are we going to adapt? It was hard, and we're just now barely adapting to that. But these are things that you'll never experience sitting behind a computer running Facebook ads all day. You know what I mean? This is the shit that I don't think enough entrepreneurs come out and talk about, because it's not the fun, sexy stuff. right? Everybody wants to talk about the sales and the new hot product and the scaling and the new Lambos and the new houses and all that status bullshit. But fuck, man, like the shit that really matters is the stuff that's really, really difficult and it's not sexy, and the things that test you, test your ability, and ask you, hey, how badly do you really want this? How badly do you really want to succeed in this or get through this? And most people will be like, I don't want to fucking go through that because I didn't want to have to go through that. But when you're put in a position of leadership and responsibility, you have to fucking figure it out. And I apply that not only to my business but in my personal life and in my marriage, in my being a father, right? Like, gosh, like we as people, as men, I mean, some of you are women as well, but we're given this God-given blessing to be leaders, right? Like it is our responsibility to be leaders in this world, and if we're not serving that, then we're not serving God. Whatever the universe, we're not being our fullest potential. We're not reaching our fullest potential. And these are things that I've been really wrestling with and trying to figure out. Like, look, is what I'm doing leading me to where I need to go as an individual, as a dad, as a husband? And the answer is yes. I think everything happens for a reason because it prepares you. The universe prepares you. God prepares you for that next step in your life, and that next new challenge. Because if you were to put, let's say, like my old John into today's position, like I would just crumble and fall. And I had learned all these different experiences and traumatic, stresses and going through all this stuff in order to be able to have the insight and the confidence and the clarity to be able to be like, okay, like here's the direction that I want to go. And this is not necessarily from a business standpoint. It's more from like a spiritual, like personal standpoint. Like what is that is going to make me happy or anyone happy? You know what I mean? What's our purpose? And if I feel like I'm not serving my purpose, which is I feel to help others, right? Help others in their own lives, whether it's through teaching, through mentoring, through entertainment, through humor, I don't feel like I'm fulfilling my purpose. And so I hope that after all that, there was some value in there that you guys could take in. But 2 years has been a really crazy ride for me and the team and my partners and my wife. And I just wanted to share that with you guys because I know you guys are going through your own things. And a lot of you guys don't have a platform or maybe too afraid to speak up about those things that you're struggling with. And I'm telling you, it's scary and it's not easy. But at the end of the day, like, I encourage you to just keep moving forward in whatever difficult situation you're facing, such as right now with the pandemic happening, coronavirus, all that fear is being, put into the world, and our businesses are being affected by it, whether you want to or not. I mean, some people are making more money than others, but for the most part, everyone's being affected by it. But it's at this time in our lives and in our generation that we need to just be confident and be fearless and start planning the next moves, right? We need to be investing in ourselves, in our companies, in our team members, in our education, because this is what's going to help us get to that next level. I just want to thank you guys so much for the opportunity to be talking to you right now, because I don't really do this much, but because I feel like the world needs more support and more opportunity to find leaders who are guiding the path. I hope that my story could resonate with yours, and I hope that my experiences you can learn from, and you guys can get that confidence to really pursue your wildest dreams and to overcome any of those obstacles and challenges that you're facing in your business, in your finances, in your relationships, whatever it is, you know, the journey never stops. And I'm just very grateful for being here where I am today. I'm not a millionaire, I'm not a billionaire, I'm not none of those things. I'm just very happy that I'm alive, that I have a roof over my head, that I'm able to help others, feed others, and that I'm living and breathing. So if we can just all be grateful for what we have and remember that, you know, life could be taken away from us at any time, and we just need to be grounded and understand that, hey, you only get one shot at this. So be grateful with what you have. And that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for making it this far. If you have, I really, really appreciate your support. And stay tuned to the next one. We'll see how that one goes. All right. Have a good rest of your day, guys.